carbon-14 dating goes back, what?
Tens of thousands,
30,000 years?
Tens of thousands of years, something like that, yeah.
So how do you start dating things when you're talking about billions of years?
So you use radiometric dating, which is, it's a similar kind of concept as carbon dating. Carbon dating is looking at the ratio of carbon-14 to nitrogen. So for those who don't know chemistry, basically all elements have different isotopes. So it just means, an element is based on how many protons are in the nucleus. And each element can actually have a number of isotopes, which just means that they have extra neutrons in their nucleus, which means that they have a higher mass, like weight. And basically what happens is in nature, you can have stable elements or stable isotopes of those elements, and they don't change. They're always going to be, like carbon-12 is always going to be carbon-12. But carbon-14 over time will decay, it will change, and one of its neutrons will change into a proton. So that means it'll turn into nitrogen. And so essentially that happens in a number of different elements. And the ones that we date really old rocks with, like billions of years, is when you have uranium, and uranium decays to lead. It changes to lead over time. And it changes exponentially over time, and it changes in a way that is statistically measurable. So we know the half-life. We know how long it's going to take for half of the amount of uranium in something to decay to lead. And so if you measure the ratio then at this time now of a rock that formed 3.5 billion years ago, you're able to say, well, this ratio actually tells us that this is 3.5 billion years old because of the amount of lead there is to uranium in that sample.
That's amazing.
It's really cool, and that's about as far as my knowledge goes with radiometric dating, because I haven't done it myself.
Far enough, I think.
But it's super cool. But the thing is about dating really old rocks. So in young
I've
rocks,
dated some really old rocks.
Fair. The thing is about dating really old rocks is that, so in young rocks, you can date actual bones. And the bones will have been deposited at the same time as the sedimentary unit. And so that'll give you an exact time at which that bone was laid down. In really old rocks, you don't have bones. There's no complex life. All there are microbes. So you can't date the things that are right in the layer that you want to date. So essentially you can only date things like igneous rocks, so volcanic rocks, because there is uranium in some of the minerals within volcanic rocks.
Okay.
But you cannot do that with sedimentary units because all the material is coming from all over the place. So if you were to date it, you'd just get a whole bunch of different ages that could be actually much older than the rock unit you're trying to date. So what you do is you date the rocks or the igneous rocks or the volcanic rocks that are within range of your sedimentary rocks. So usually the ones that are below, the ones that are above, and if you're lucky, maybe a unit of maybe ash, volcanic ash that's happened at the time that your sedimentary rocks were deposited. And so that way you can start to build a picture of how old, roughly speaking, or relatively speaking, your rocks that you're looking at are aged.
There'll be a link somewhere to see the full interview. It may be currently floating near my head. Also, in podcast form, if you'd like to listen while cleaning the house or driving or whatever people do. You really should be paying attention though, seriously.